Hello, my name is Kerry Arthur, and today is going to be a little bit different to usual. Normally, when we talk about stuff on this channel, I talk, and then you talk back, and then I read them, and if I can, I respond to the comments, and if something really good comes up, I'll talk about it in the next video, or, you know, I generally try and make it so that this is a place for conversation, and generally speaking, I try and spark that by talking about whatever thing has happened, or whatever news or rumours or anything that's cropped up or just appeared in my head that I want to talk about. Today's going to be a little bit different because in a way I have nothing for you, and that's going to sound very odd, but I will attempt to elaborate a little bit because this is me actually just genuinely asking for advice, asking for help. So I've talked over the last like however long, probably months at this stage, about having the Imperial Guard project that I was trying to work on. I've got the custody stuff that I never got around to doing anything with. I had a knight that was waiting to be put together. I talked about, you know, using like the Van Saar stuff for the Imperial Guard regiment that I was going to build. And I guess the start of this is almost like a mini confession in that I have done very little of any of that, and it kind of ties into, I guess, whatever the title of this video is going to be, something about just like stalling in the hobby, just completely losing your drive, like losing your motivation. It's something that I've found with 40k, especially the modelling and painting side of it, is that it's a very therapeutic practice. It's a very good hobby for just sitting down, putting something together, building up to completion, and I've talked before about how it's done great things in terms of my mental state, because it allows me to get into a zone where I'm just focusing on this one thing, and that's all there is. So like when I went through and painted all of my Space Marine army, that was a really nice process, because whilst I was kit bashing them, because every single model is kit bashed to some extent, it was a case of, okay, I want this guy to look like this, and then that was where 100% of my attention went. For dealing with things like depression and anxiety, two things that I struggle with quite badly, especially at the moment, it's very meditative, it's very therapeutic, it's a good way to just escape for a bit. With all of the stuff that's happened over the last year, 2 years, I don't even know at this point, with the complications I've had with my medication, and like the medication I was on to begin with stopped working, or at least was working nowhere near as effectively as it should, which obviously had an impact on my health quite a bit. So then I had to try and take other medication, which I had a bad reaction to. For whatever reason, it just didn't work. It just made me worse again. I've then had to come off both of those medications, and the process for that is finished. Now I'm looking at starting new medication. The course of therapy I've been having, which has been helpful, is it looks like possibly going to be stopping early due to issues with the therapist, as in they're not going to have a job because the NHS is remarkably underfunded and there's not enough fucking money for mental health services. And where I was quite lucky in that they hadn't been impacted too severely. Now they're getting impacted really badly. All of that has combined to kind of make it so that I have all these plans and all these ideas and all of these things that I want to do, and yet I cannot find the motivation to do them. I'm okay to make videos, I'm okay to like practice the guitar, like that Ghost Threat has been having the living daylights beaten out of it over the last couple of weeks, because I've been playing it for like at least a couple of hours a day wherever possible. But none of that is the same therapeutic experience. None of it is that same process. I mean, it got to the point where the Baneblade that I talked about getting ages ago, that was like half assembled. I've now sold that on to someone who was starting an army. The Van Saar gang never got put together. I ended up selling that as well. The Knight kit is just, well, I mean, I have technically sold that as well, but they haven't paid, so I haven't sent it yet. I'm just at a point where I've just lost the drive, you know? I've completely lost that urge to sit and make and paint. I've got my Primaris army, which, I mean, say Primaris army, the stuff from Dark Imperium, that has been sitting half finished since Dark Imperium came out. You know, I tried to move on to other things. I got the night paints, I've done other stuff as well, but there's just been a kind of lack of drive. Like, I've put stuff together and then just stopped using it. Like, I've got like a Grey Knight, I've got like a Nemesis Dread Knight in there and a bunch of Grey Knights that I'd got, and I intended to start making those at the start of 8th, and they're just either in pieces or they've become conversion fodder. The Custody stuff I've got ideas for those, I've got plans for those, and I know what I want to do with them, but it's just building up to actually doing it. For the first time in ages, for months and months and months and months, I'm in a position whereby I just don't have the motivation needed to actually get any of this shit done. And it's a weird experience because I've not really had this before. Even if it's one-off projects, right? Even if it's one-off things, I found things to do. I found ways to push myself into painting things, into finishing things. Like, quite a few of the things that I've built fairly, relatively recently, over the last 6 months or so, have been like D&D things. I've got like 3 or 4 different D&D characters that I've either converted or put together or painted. I've finished off a couple of Age of Sigmar models because I wanted to use those for D&D. I started converting things, but just stopped part way. I've got like half-finished squads of Space Marines in drawers. I've got a box of... I've got Lorgar sitting in his box that, when I first got him, I didn't feel confident enough in my ability to work with resin of that detail, frankly, without mangling it, to put him together. I've since worked on other stuff and been absolutely fine. I feel like I should get him done. I really need to get him done. Lorgar is my favourite Primarch. He's just sitting in his box. He shouldn't be in his box. He should be fully constructed. He should be painted. But it's just, the drive is gone. The motivation is gone. It's like, I looked at those knights when we talked about the Renegade Knight houses. Or the Renegade Knights and the Codex release for them, the Index release. Words. I looked at those and I was like, oh my god, those look amazing. I really want to, I've got to do that. I have to do that. Like, I cancelled the Armatures order that I made because I was like, I want to do that. That would be cool. And then I thought, okay, how would I do this? And my brain went, no idea. Yeah, no clue. It would be cool, yeah, but what? How are you going to do it? And I just didn't know. Just couldn't even plan it out. I guess what I'm asking, guys, this is halfway between just venting and complaining. I guess the question that I have for you guys is, how do you drag yourself out of this? Because I've talked before about trying to get yourself back into doing this stuff, about like getting back into painting and things, and picking a project and maybe just painting one thing and then, using that as a build-up, like ways of getting yourself through painting an army. I've talked about that stuff before. But that requires the motivation and the drive to pick up to begin with. I'm lacking that. That is just gone. Now, a lot of this could be down to my state of mind at the moment. Like, I'm okay. I'm getting through the day. I'm still functional, which, saying that you're still functional makes it sound terrible. But I'm still recording. I'm still doing everything that I need to. But the actual energy level that I'm at is sitting just below, I've been up for 48 hours and I need to sleep. That is where I'm at when I start the day at the moment. And it just means that I look at all this stuff. I've got so much 40k shit. And the Soul Wars box is on its way as well. And I'm genuinely worried that I'm never going to finish that as well at this point. How do you punch yourself back into it? Like, how do you get yourself back in? Anyone who's had this thing where you're just in like a complete hobby slump, you're just in a total dry spell, you cannot bring yourself to do anything, all your projects, all of that shit, it just sits off to the side and you never touch it because you just can't summon the energy to do so. How did you get out of that? And this is a genuine, serious question, because I know that it's not just me. I know there's got to be plenty of people out there who are just don't ever do any of this shit. They might play the game, but they never build a new army. They never get the energy needed to actually start a new project. What advice do you have for people who are having the same issue, where it sounds so weird? I want to make stuff. I want to build things. I want to be painting stuff. I enjoy the process. I love doing it. Putting that Space Marine army together was one of the most fun things I've done in relation to the hobby as a whole. How do you get that back? Like, if you've ever had this slump, this just point where you just can't bring yourself to start a new project, what have you done to actually combat that? What have you done to build back up? What have you done to get inspiration, to get energy, to force yourself into start doing something so that you can then carry on and continue to enjoy it the way that you know you should? If you have any prior experience with this, if you have any sort of magic thing that happened, if there was a particular image or a particular army or a particular idea that sparked you and went, yes, I must do that, share it in the comments. Let me know. As I say, there's got to be other people who are having this issue, but for me it's very frustrating because it's like I'm missing a key part of what makes me relaxed, and there's no replacement for that, and yet I can't get myself to the point of actually starting it up again. So yeah, if you had one of these horrendous hobby dry spells, one of these horrendous slumps, and you managed to get yourself out of it, let me know how you did it in the comments down below. I guess in a way this is almost like a vlog health thing as well, just because I'm clearly a bit of a mess. But yeah, I'd be really interested to know how you got out of this if you were having this issue, and I'm sure there are many other people who would appreciate some sort of guidance as well. So let me know your hints, your tips, your tricks, all of that in the comments, and hopefully something will kickstart me into actually fucking modelling and painting again, because I miss doing it, but at the same time I just cannot get myself to the point where I'm actually doing it again. Really fucking annoying. Like, it's genuinely frustrating. It pisses me off because the back of my head is just like, you're missing this for no reason. I know I'm missing it for no reason, but why can't I force myself back into it? I suppose that just applies to just depression in general. I know why this is happening, but that doesn't stop it from being fucking stupid, is basically my tagline for that. So yeah, this is getting too rambly. I'm going to stop now. Let me know. Let me know how you've dealt with this stuff, if you've dealt with it. And in the meantime, click all the things. Click them if you want. Don't click them if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.